Hello, my name is Kat, and today I will be doing my March wrap-up. So March was a decent reading month for me. I did finish the 4 books that I was like determined to get through, and I also managed to read 2 graphic novels on top of that, which is not that impressive, but just go with it. I am still 4 books behind in my reading challenge for the year, but I still have faith that I can make that up in the coming months. Like, it's only March, okay? Try me again in November. That's when I'll be actually worried. But for now, I got this at a later point in time. Procrastination. Anyways, let's just move on to the books I finished in March. So first up, I finally finished The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, the 3rd and final book in the MISTBORN trilogy. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail here because this is the 3rd book and I don't want to spoil anyone, and also I am still planning to make a full spoilery discussion book talk for this just as soon as I have time. But basically, I loved this book. I thought it was a fantastic conclusion to a fantastic trilogy that I now consider to be one of my favorite series of all time. And I mean, it is up there with Harry Potter and Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Like, I really loved this book and this series overall. But again, I will get into more detail in my book talk. And for now, if you are completely new to the series, I did do book talks on the first 2 books in this trilogy, and the beginnings of those videos are spoiler free. So I will link both of those down below and you can check them out if you would like to. Next up, I finished A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And this was another book that I just loved. In this book, there are these parallel Londons, and we follow a man named Kel who is one of the few with the ability to travel between them. When Kel gets his hands on an item that is dangerous and powerful, he starts to find himself in a bit of a sticky situation. And when that object is stolen from him by a pickpocket named Lila, that is when things get really complicated. There's adventure and magic and murder and chaos, and it is awesome. This is actually the first book in a series, and even though it just came out, I am already so eagerly anticipating the sequel. Because even though this is a very satisfying story, like it could almost be a standalone, there are a couple of little threads kind of left dangling, and I just want to explore those further so badly. The world is wonderful, the characters are great, the writing is lovely as per usual with Victoria Schwab, and I really liked this one. I highly recommend it. Next up, I have here We Should Hang Out Sometime by Josh Sundquist, and this was the Booksplosion Book of the Month pick for March. This is a humorous coming-of-age memoir about Josh, who was in his mid-20s when he realized that he'd never had a real girlfriend, and he wanted to figure out why. So he decided to get in touch with some of his almost girlfriends and talk to them and try to get to the bottom of this. I really enjoyed reading this. It was really funny and awkward, and it did kind of make me revisit some of my own embarrassing, cringeworthy high school relationship moments, for better or worse. Aside from the humor and the awkwardness, one of my favorite aspects of this book was the honesty. Like, there were several lines where Josh would just totally drop some truth, and I loved that. For those of you who don't know, Josh is a YouTuber, and he actually joined us for the second half of our live show discussion, and it was really great because we got to ask him some juicy questions and get the inside gossip. I'll go ahead and leave a bunch of links in the description in case you want to check out Josh's channel or watch the recording of the live show or any of that good stuff. Next up, I read a book to complete my TBR jar challenge for the month. This month, my challenge was to read and watch a book and its movie adaptation, and I went with The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. I was gonna read The Book Thief because that's the one that so many of you suggested, but After The Hero of Ages, I was more in the mood for something lighthearted and fun, which is not actually how I would describe this book, but I imagine it's at least more lighthearted and fun than The Book Thief. Anyways, this book is essentially about a man who is just getting out of a mental hospital and trying to deal with his normal life and repairing relationships with friends and family. He forms this friendship with a woman who is also dealing with some issues, and they help each other start to heal. I did really enjoy both book and movie, but only if I'm looking at them as separate things. I thought the situation was similar, but the themes and just the feel of the stories were very different in these different mediums. So much of the great mystery and tension of the book is kind of given to you right up front in the movie, and personally I loved that mystery aspect. So I did prefer the book, but again, I did enjoy both book and movie and thought they were both great, but separate. Like, I wouldn't call the movie a faithful adaptation. Was still a good movie. Then I read some graphic novels. First, I have here Pandemonium by Chris Wooding and Cassandra Diaz. This takes place in a very unique, fantastical world, and it's about a boy who really resembles this prince who's gone missing. So he's enlisted to kind of take the prince's spot so people don't find out what's up. Hijinks and hilarity ensues. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this, but I ended up enjoying it so much. I loved the humor and the quirkiness of this book, and the art was beautiful. Like, I kind of felt like I was watching a really great anime, and I didn't want it to stop, especially because this really feels like a first installment, and I want the second installment. Like, I want more. I really want more. There is an overall story arc, but there's so much stuff left hanging. Like, I really, really want a sequel. And as far as I can tell, there's not one out yet, so I will just be here impatiently waiting for that. And finally, I read Deadly Class by Rick Remender and Wes Craig. This is about a boy whose family has been killed and he's living on the streets until he is invited to this school where they train assassins. But it's not like a fun assassin school. Like, this is not at all a lighthearted read. It's very dark and gritty, but still very awesome. From this one, I got a bit of a Batman vibe and also a bit of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas vibe in a great way. Like, it was an awesome read. And this is another one where I really want the next volume, but fortunately, this does have a volume 2 that is coming out like today. So I can pick that up and continue ASAP. But yeah, that is gonna be it. Those are the books I read in March and what I thought about them. And that's all I wanted to talk about for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Goodbye! Hello, my name is Kat, and I'm coming down with something. Okay, Umbridge. I can make it up. I believe in myself. Why don't you believe in me? Hater? Hater's gonna hate. I'm so twinning with this book. Red and black and white. The red and black is what I'm wearing and the white is me. I'm very pale. And finally, I read Deadly Class by a whole bunch of people whose names I didn't look at before I started talking. Bow ties are cool. This is not a bow tie. Still cool. Right?